Listen carefully. What I'm about to share is not for everyone. This message is only for those who truly walk with God. If you are here just out of curiosity, if you mock spiritual things, or if you are not aligned with the divine path, it is better that you leave now. This message will not resonate with you. But if you are a true follower of God, if you are one of His chosen ones, something inside you already knows you were meant to hear this. This message is urgent, and I don't use that word lightly. It has reached you at the exact moment your soul can receive it. Not early, not late. Perfectly timed by God Himself. What you are about to hear will shift the way you see your life, your struggles, and your calling. Chosen one, the secret code has been revealed, and it was never outside of you. Now that it is being activated, you must react. Ignoring this revelation is no longer an option. Stay with me until the very end, because what I will reveal later will bring clarity to things you've been questioning for a long time. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, share this message with other chosen ones, and comment 444 to declare that you are aligned with the divine mission God has placed on your life.
What the secret code really is, not what the world thinks. Now listen to me slowly and let your spirit breathe as I speak. The world has confused the idea of a secret code. People think it is numbers, formulas, hidden symbols, conspiracies, or something you must search for outside yourself. That is not how God works. God does not hide truth to mock His children. He hides it to protect it, to mature you, and to reveal it only when your spirit is ready. The secret code is not something you discover. It is something you remember. This code was planted in you before you were born, long before you had language, long before you had pain, long before you had doubts. It is not written on paper. It is written on your spirit. And that is why no one could steal it from you, even when they tried to break you. The secret code is divine recognition. It is the inner knowing that tells you, this is not my final form, this is not my final place, this is not my final season. It is the reason you never fully fit in, even when you tried. It is the reason success without purpose never satisfied you. It is the reason your soul reacts strongly to truth and becomes restless around lies. The world calls this sensitivity. God calls it discernment. The world calls it overthinking. God calls it spiritual awareness. The world calls it rebellion. God calls it obedience to a higher calling. You see, chosen one, the secret code is a spiritual pattern. It is the way God communicates with those He has set apart. While others need loud signs, chosen ones receive subtle instructions. While others need constant reassurance, chosen ones are trained through silence. While others move only when pushed, chosen ones move when prompted within. This is why your life has felt different. You are not malfunctioning, you are decoding. The secret code reveals itself through pressure, not because God enjoys your pain, but because pressure reveals structure. When everything is comfortable, nothing is tested. When everything is smooth, nothing is proven. God allows pressure so the code inside you can activate. That is why some of your hardest seasons were also your most awakening seasons. Think back. The moments when you were stripped of distractions. The moments when people left. The moments when answers did not come quickly. Those were not empty moments. Those were decoding moments. God was teaching you to hear Him without noise, to trust Him without proof, and to stand without applause. The world misunderstands this code because it cannot be taught in classrooms. It cannot be downloaded. It cannot be copied. It can only be lived. And that is why many will never understand you. They look for external validation. You are guided by internal alignment. This code sharpens your perception. You walk into rooms and feel things others miss. You hear words, but you listen to intentions. You sense shifts before they happen. That is not imagination. That is the code functioning. And let me correct something important here, because many chosen ones carry unnecessary guilt. This code does not make you better than others. It makes you more responsible. It does not give you superiority. It gives you assignment. You are not chosen for comfort. You are chosen for service, for leadership, for example, and for spiritual stability in unstable times. That is why God trains you differently. The secret code also includes restraint. Chosen ones are taught when not to speak, when not to react, when not to explain themselves. Silence is not weakness in your life. Silence is strategy. God often hides his strongest warriors in quiet seasons because noise attracts unnecessary battles. You were never meant to convince everyone. You were meant to stand firm so truth could speak for itself. Now hear this clearly. The secret code is not fear-based. God does not control his chosen through fear. If something fills you with panic, confusion, or obsession, that is not the code. The code brings clarity, even when it brings responsibility. It brings peace, even when it brings change. That calm you feel right now, even as deep truths are being spoken, is confirmation. Your spirit recognizes what your mind is still processing. The code also works through timing. Chosen ones are often delayed, not denied. God withholds certain doors not because you are unworthy, but because your discernment must mature before your access increases. Early exposure without wisdom can destroy purpose. So God protects you from yourself until you are ready. That is why you felt held back while others rushed ahead. And that is why many of those who rushed are now confused, burned out, or empty. Speed without alignment is dangerous. The code teaches patience without bitterness. Another part of this secret code is the way you love. You love deeply, but you do not tolerate manipulation. You forgive, but you do not forget lessons. You give chances, but once clarity arrives, you do not go backward. That balance was learned through pain, yes, but it was refined by God. You were never meant to be naive forever. The world says stay soft at all costs. God says stay pure, but be wise. This is where many misunderstand chosen ones. They mistake your boundaries for coldness. They mistake your distance for pride. They mistake your clarity for judgment. But the code taught you survival before it taught you service. God had to protect you before he could use you. And now, chosen one, you are reaching a stage where the code is no longer dormant. You are beginning to see patterns clearly. You are beginning to understand why certain cycles kept repeating. You are beginning to feel less reactive and more grounded. That is not coincidence. That is activation. This code does not shout. It settles. It does not rush. It aligns. It does not force. It invites. And that is why only those who are ready can receive it. Others hear these words and feel nothing. You hear them and feel seen. That is the difference. So when I say the secret code is revealed, understand this. God is not giving you something new. He is reminding you of who you have always been. And once you remember, you cannot unsee. Once you awaken, you cannot return to sleep. That is why reaction becomes necessary. But do not rush ahead yet. Breathe. Let this truth settle. Because in the next part, I will explain how this code has already been activating in your life without you even realizing it. How you were activated without realizing it. Now listen closely, because this part may feel personal, not emotional in a chaotic way, but personal in a deep, quiet way. This is where many chosen ones suddenly pause the video, not because they are bored, but because something inside them says, "This is my life he's talking about." That reaction is not accidental. You were activated long before you understood the language for it. Activation does not arrive with fireworks. God does not always announce his moves. Most of the time he works in silence, in confusion, in moments you once thought were setbacks. That is why you did not recognize it at first. You were too busy surviving to label what was happening. Think back carefully. There was a season when your life began to feel heavier than it should have. Not because things were worse than everyone else's, but because you felt things more deeply. Conversations affected you, environments drained you. Certain people felt off, even when they smiled. That was not weakness. That was the beginning of your discernment waking up. You started noticing that what once entertained you no longer satisfied you. Noise became exhausting. Shallow conversations felt empty. You wanted meaning, not stimulation. That was activation. Then there were the losses. People who walked away without explanation. Relationships that ended suddenly. Friendships that changed overnight. At the time, you blamed yourself. You wondered what you did wrong. But now you can see it clearly. God was removing what could not follow you into clarity. Chosen one, not everyone is allowed to come with you when you awaken, and God knows that if He explained it to you too early, you would have resisted. You would have tried to save people you were meant to outgrow. So He let it unfold naturally. Painfully, yes, but precisely. Another sign of activation was your early maturity. Even as a child, you felt different. You noticed injustice. You asked deeper questions. You felt responsibility before you felt freedom. While others were careless, you were observant. While others escaped into distraction, you watched patterns form. That was not childhood anxiety. That was a calling pressing early. And because of that, life felt unfair at times. You had to grow up before you were ready. You had to understand things others ignored. You had to carry emotional weight without having the words to express it. That burden shaped you. It sharpened you. It also isolated you. Isolation is one of God's favorite tools for activation. Not to punish you, but to separate noise from truth. There was also a season when God felt silent. And this is important, because many chosen ones almost lose faith here. You prayed, but answers did not come the way you expected. You asked for signs, but instead you received pressure. You asked for clarity, but instead you were asked to wait. That silence was not abandonment. That silence was training. God was teaching you how to listen beyond words, how to trust without confirmation, how to stand when emotions fluctuated. You were being weaned from emotional dependence into spiritual stability. Most people run from silence. Chosen ones are refined by it. Activation also came through disappointment, plans that failed, doors that closed unexpectedly, opportunities that looked promising but fell apart at the last moment. You thought it was bad timing. You thought it was sabotage, but in truth, God was protecting the code inside you. Some environments would have corrupted your discernment. Some success would have inflated your ego before your character was ready. Some relationships would have bound you emotionally and distracted you spiritually. So God blocked access until alignment caught up with desire. You didn't understand it then, but you do now, at least partially, and you will understand it fully later. Another subtle activation sign was emotional exhaustion without a clear reason. You weren't lazy. You weren't weak. You were processing more than you realized. Your spirit was shedding layers, old beliefs, old identities, old survival patterns. Transformation is tiring. No one tells you that becoming who God called you to be feels like grief sometimes. You grieve versions of yourself that can no longer exist. You grieve illusions. You grieve relationships that only worked when you were smaller. That grief was part of your activation. You also began to feel uncomfortable pretending to agree, pretending to be okay, pretending to tolerate what violated your values. That discomfort pushed you to either shrink or stand firm. And slowly, painfully, you learned to stand, not loudly, not arrogantly, quietly, steadily. That is chosen one strength. You were also activated through contrast. You watched others chase things that once tempted you, and you felt nothing. No envy, no urgency, just a calm awareness that your path was different. That confused you. It made you question yourself, but that detachment was divine. God was loosening your grip on what would never fulfill you. Another clear sign was your sensitivity to truth. When truth was spoken, even if it challenged you, something inside you resonated. You may not have liked it, but you respected it. Lies, however polished, made you uneasy. That reaction is not learned, it is encoded. Your spirit knows truth when it hears it. And here is something many chosen ones don't realize until much later. Your activation also came through failure, not moral failure, but human limitation. Moments when you reached the edge of your strength. Moments when you realized you could not carry everything alone. That is where surrender was born. God does not activate pride, He activates humility. And humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is knowing exactly who you are and who you are not. It is understanding that your strength flows from alignment, not control. You were activated when you stopped fighting God's process and started trusting it, even imperfectly. Now let me say this clearly, because I want your mind to relax here. You did not miss your activation moment. There was no single day where you failed God. Activation is a process, not an event. It unfolds in layers, seasons, and realizations. Even your confusion was part of it. Even your resistance was part of it. Even your questions were part of it. God is patient with His chosen. He does not rush what must mature. So if you are realizing now that many moments in your past suddenly make sense, that is not regret. That is integration. That is wisdom catching up with experience. And now, chosen one, you are not activating anymore. You are awakening to the fact that you already have. In the next part, I will show you the signs that prove this code is actively decoding in your life right now. Not yesterday, not someday, but in this very season. Stay grounded. Stay open. You are exactly where you need to be. The signs you are decoding the message right now. Now slow down with me for a moment. Breathe. Let your shoulders relax. Because what I'm about to describe is not something you need to chase. It is something you are already experiencing. The decoding is not coming. It is happening. Quietly, gently, precisely. One of the first signs you are decoding the message right now is a strange calm that appears after long confusion. Not excitement, not emotional highs, but a steady inner quiet. Things that once triggered you no longer have the same power. Situations that once pulled you into anxiety now feel distant, almost neutral. That is not emotional numbness. That is emotional mastery beginning to form. You are no longer reacting from wounds. You are responding from awareness. Another sign is clarity without urgency. You see what needs to change, but you are not panicking about it. You recognize truth, but you are not forcing outcomes. This is important because early awakening often comes with intensity. Decoding comes with stability. You are learning that God does not rush His chosen. He aligns them. You may also notice a growing desire for solitude, not out of loneliness, but out of necessity. Crowds drain you. Noise overwhelms you. Even well-meaning conversations can feel heavy. This does not mean you are antisocial. It means your spirit is filtering what it allows in. You are protecting clarity. Solitude is not isolation when God is present. Another sign is emotional release without a clear story attached to it. You might feel the urge to cry, to sit quietly, to breathe deeply without knowing exactly why. That is stored emotional weight leaving your system. Years of pressure, misunderstanding, and self-silencing are being released safely now. Your body is catching up to what your spirit already resolved. Do not resist that release. Healing does not always explain itself. You are also becoming more sensitive to deception, not in a paranoid way, but in a grounded one. You can sense when words and intentions do not match. You notice inconsistencies without obsessing over them. You simply adjust your distance. This is discernment operating calmly, not defensively. You no longer feel the need to expose everything, you just step back. That restraint is a sign of decoding. Another strong sign is that you feel less need to prove yourself. You still care about excellence, but not about approval. Compliments no longer inflate you. Criticism no longer destroys you. You take what is useful and release the rest. That balance only comes when identity is rooted, not borrowed. You are anchored now. You may also notice that your prayers have changed. You ask less for things and more for alignment, less for escape and more for understanding. You may even find yourself sitting in silence more than speaking. That is not spiritual laziness. That is spiritual maturity. God speaks clearly to those who listen deeply. Another sign is a subtle grief mixed with gratitude. You are thankful for growth, but you also feel the weight of what you can no longer unsee. Once the code begins decoding, ignorance is no longer comfortable. You cannot pretend anymore. That can feel heavy. But it is also freeing. Truth costs something, but it gives more than it takes. You are also becoming aware of patterns, not just in others, but in yourself. You see where you overgave, where you stayed too long, where you abandoned your intuition. This awareness is not for self-punishment, it is for correction. And you are correcting gently now, not violently. Growth no longer needs self-hate. Another sign is your relationship with time changing. You are less obsessed with rushing and more focused on right timing. You trust delays more. You respect process more. You understand that speed without discernment creates damage. This patience was learned through pain, but it is now becoming wisdom. God's timing feels safer to you now than your own impulses. You may also feel a stronger pull toward purpose without having all the details. You don't need the full map anymore. You just need the next step. That trust is not blind. It is informed by experience. You have seen enough to know God is consistent even when unclear. This is faith that has been tested and proven. Another sign is a decrease in tolerance for internal dishonesty. You cannot lie to yourself anymore. You cannot ignore red flags. You cannot suppress your intuition to keep peace. This may have caused friction in some areas of your life, but it has also created internal integrity. Peace without truth is not peace. You understand that now. You are also learning to rest without guilt. This is important. Chosen ones often struggle here. You were trained to survive, to endure, to carry weight. Rest felt unsafe. But now, rest feels deserved, necessary, holy even. God restores through rest, not just effort. Another clear sign is that your reactions are slower, not delayed out of fear, but measured out of wisdom. You pause before responding. You observe before deciding. This does not mean you lack passion. It means passion is now guided. Power without control destroys. Control without power stagnates. You are finding the balance. You may also feel less attached to outcomes. You do your part and release the rest. This detachment does not come from apathy. It comes from trust. You know that forcing outcomes has never served you well. Alignment has. God does not need your anxiety to accomplish His will. And here is one of the most telling signs. You feel seen by truth when it appears. Messages like this resonate deeply, not because they flatter you, but because they clarify you. You don't feel hyped. You feel grounded. You feel understood. That is the code responding to recognition. Chosen one, if you see yourself in these signs, do not overanalyze them. Do not rush to label everything. Simply acknowledge what is happening. Awareness is enough for now. In the next part, I will speak about why this stage requires reaction, not delay, and why ignoring what you now see creates unnecessary struggle. Stay with me. What comes next is important. Another sign you are decoding the message right now is a quiet confidence that does not need to announce itself. You are no longer explaining your growth to people who are not listening. You are no longer defending your choices to those who benefit from your confusion. You move differently now, more reserved, more intentional. That is not withdrawal. That is wisdom choosing its battles. You may also notice that your intuition has become sharper but calmer. It no longer screams, it whispers. And because you have learned to listen, you don't miss it. You sense when to engage and when to step back. You feel when something is aligned and when it is not, even if it looks good on the surface. That inner signal is steady now, not chaotic. Another sign is that you feel responsibility without pressure. You know you are called, but you no longer feel rushed to prove it. You are content preparing in private. You understand that visibility before readiness creates wounds. So you allow God to work on you where no one applauds. You may also feel a gentle detachment from old identities. Labels you once clung to no longer define you. Roles you once played feel too small. This can feel disorienting, but it is also freeing. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding what was temporary. And finally, you are beginning to trust yourself again, not in arrogance, but in alignment. You trust your discernment. You trust your pauses. You trust that God is guiding you even when the path feels quiet. That trust is not accidental. It is earned. And it is one of the clearest signs that the decoding is real, active, and unfolding exactly as it should. Why you must react, and why delay is dangerous. Now listen to me with a calm mind and an open spirit, because this part requires maturity. Reaction does not mean panic. Reaction does not mean rushing ahead blindly. Reaction means alignment. It means responding inwardly to what God has made clear outwardly. And when clarity arrives and is ignored, delay becomes dangerous, not because God is harsh, but because stagnation weakens discernment. Chosen one, every season has a window. Not a deadline driven by fear, but a window governed by readiness. When a window opens, grace flows easily. When it closes, effort increases. Many people confuse this and think God has left them, when in reality, they delayed responding when alignment was available. Delay dulls sensitivity. At first, ignoring clarity feels harmless. You tell yourself you will respond later, when things feel easier, when circumstances improve, when fear quiets down. But clarity does not come to accommodate comfort. It comes to invite courage. And the longer you postpone responding to what you already know, the louder confusion becomes. Not because God is confusing you, but because you are resisting truth. Reaction is not about doing more. It is about agreeing internally with what has been revealed. It is saying yes in your spirit before your environment changes. It is choosing obedience in small, quiet ways, changing patterns, releasing attachments, adjusting posture, speaking less when silence is required, stepping forward when hesitation has become habit. God watches movement, not intention. Many chosen ones get stuck here. They have pure hearts, strong faith, deep insight, but they wait too long to act on what they know. They overthink. They spiritualize procrastination. They call delay patience when it is actually fear dressed in wisdom language. True patience is peaceful. Fear-based delay is heavy. You feel the difference in your body. Peaceful patience feels grounded. Fearful delay feels tense, restless, and draining. That tension is your spirit telling you that alignment is overdue. Let me speak plainly now. Delay does not cancel calling, but it complicates the journey. God will still accomplish His will, but when you resist alignment, lessons repeat. Cycles loop. The same conversations happen with different faces. The same emotional pain returns in different forms, not as punishment, but as mercy. God repeats what we refuse to learn. Reaction breaks cycles. Another reason delay is dangerous is because clarity fades when not honored. Discernment is like a muscle. When used, it strengthens. When ignored, it weakens. The more you override your inner knowing, the harder it becomes to hear it clearly. Eventually, you start questioning yourself unnecessarily. You second-guess what was once obvious. That is not humility. That is erosion. Reaction preserves clarity. And understand this. Reaction does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like ending a conversation earlier than usual. Sometimes it looks like resting instead of pushing. Sometimes it looks like saying no without over-explaining. Sometimes it looks like stopping the habit that keeps you distracted from truth. Small reactions create large shifts. You must also react because others are watching you, even when they don't say it. Chosen ones lead energetically before they lead verbally. When you align, permission is given for others to align. When you delay, confusion spreads, not because you owe anyone perfection, but because your obedience carries weight. Responsibility increases with awareness. This is why delay feels heavier now than it used to. Before, you didn't know what you know now. But now, clarity has arrived, and clarity carries responsibility. Ignoring it creates internal conflict. Honoring it creates peace, even when the path is uncomfortable. Let me say something that may challenge you, but it will free you. God will not beg you to align. He invites, He nudges, He confirms, but He respects your choice. If you delay long enough, He will allow you to experience the consequences of misalignment, not to shame you, but to teach you. Discomfort becomes the teacher when clarity is ignored. Reaction also protects you spiritually. When you remain in environments, relationships, or habits that your discernment has already flagged, you expose yourself unnecessarily. You become drained, confused, irritable. You start feeling spiritually foggy. That fog lifts the moment alignment begins. Peace returns quickly when reaction is honest. Another danger of delay is misplaced energy. You spend emotional strength maintaining situations you were meant to outgrow. You pour effort into explaining yourself to people who are not assigned to understand you. That energy was meant for preparation, not defense. Reaction redirects energy back to purpose. And here is something very important. Reaction does not require certainty about the outcome. It requires trust in the instruction. God rarely reveals the full picture before movement. He reveals the next step. When you take it, clarity increases. When you don't, confusion multiplies. Light follows obedience. Now let me address fear directly, because fear is often the real reason behind delay. Fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of being wrong, fear of standing alone. These fears are understandable, but they are not authoritative. Fear speaks loudly, but it has no jurisdiction over your calling. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is obedience despite it. When you react in alignment, fear does not disappear immediately, but it loses control. It becomes background noise instead of a decision maker. Peace takes the lead. And one more thing, delay can make you vulnerable to distraction. When you hesitate too long, substitutes appear. Comfort distractions, spiritual distractions, busy distractions, things that keep you occupied but not aligned. They feel productive, but they delay obedience. Not everything that feels good is God. Reaction sharpens focus. Chosen one, hear this gently but firmly. You are not being rushed by God. You are being invited into alignment. But invitation has a season. If you feel a quiet urgency now, that is not anxiety. That is awareness. That is your spirit recognizing that this is a moment that matters. Do not wait for a breakdown to choose alignment. Do not wait for loss to confirm what you already know. Do not wait for exhaustion to force change. React now, calmly, wisely, intentionally, because when you do, resistance weakens, clarity strengthens, and peace becomes your confirmation. And in the next part, I will speak about the war you felt but couldn't name, and why reacting now shifts that battle in your favor. Stay grounded, stay open. You are not behind. You are being called forward. The war you felt but couldn't name. Now let me speak to something you have felt for a long time but may never have had words for. This was never just emotional struggle. It was never just stress, bad luck, or personality differences. What you felt was a war, not the kind with noise and chaos, but the quiet kind, the kind that drains you slowly, the kind that targets clarity, identity, and peace. And the reason you couldn't name it was because it didn't look like a war on the surface. Chosen one, real spiritual warfare is subtle. It does not always come as open opposition. Most of the time it comes as distraction, delay, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. It comes as questioning yourself when nothing is actually wrong. It comes as feeling heavy for no visible reason. It comes as losing motivation right when alignment is near. That is not coincidence. The war was not against your success. It was against your stability, not against your faith, but against your consistency. Because a chosen one who is calm, grounded, and aligned is dangerous to darkness. So the pressure came in waves. You felt it in your thoughts, overthinking things that once felt simple, replaying conversations, doubting decisions you already prayed about. That was not wisdom. That was interference trying to pull you back into mental noise. You felt it emotionally. Sudden sadness without a clear cause, irritability that didn't match the situation, emotional fatigue that sleep didn't fix. Those were not character flaws. Those were signs of prolonged internal resistance. You felt it relationally. Misunderstandings increased. People projected onto you. You were misunderstood even when your intentions were pure. That isolation was painful, but it was also strategic. Separation often precedes strengthening. And here is where many chosen ones get confused. The war did not come because you were doing something wrong. It came because you were doing something right. Alignment threatens systems that thrive on confusion. Peace disrupts environments built on chaos. So resistance intensified when clarity increased. But let me calm your mind here. This war was never about destroying you. If it were, it would have succeeded already. You are still here, still seeking, still grounded enough to listen. That alone tells you something. The war was about delaying you, delaying your confidence, delaying your obedience, delaying your rest, delaying your acceptance of who you truly are. And notice how the pressure often increased when you were close to peace, right when you decided to change, right when you chose boundaries, right when you started seeing clearly. That timing is not accidental. Now hear this clearly, because this is where fear must leave. You are not under attack because you are weak. You felt resistance because you carry authority. Authority attracts opposition, but it also overcomes it. And authority does not shout. It stands. This is why the war felt internal. Thoughts against thoughts, feelings against discernment, fatigue against faith. You were being pulled to react emotionally instead of respond spiritually. But slowly, you learned. You learned to pause instead of panic. You learned to observe instead of engage. You learned to pray instead of explain. That learning was not random, it was training. Another part of this war was learning restraint. Not every battle required your response. Not every provocation deserved your energy. Not every misunderstanding needed correction. You were being taught discernment over defense. Silence became a weapon. And let me correct something here. Silence does not mean you are afraid to speak. It means you are no longer easily baited. You learned that reacting emotionally gives power away. Responding intentionally keeps power centered. The war also tested your compassion. You cared deeply. That is part of your design. But compassion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. So you had to learn when to help and when to step back, when to pour in and when to preserve yourself. That lesson hurt, because it meant accepting that love alone does not fix everything. And then there was spiritual fatigue. Not loss of faith, but tiredness in carrying unseen weight. You prayed, you reflected, you held on, but you were tired of being strong. That does not mean you were failing. It means you were human. God never asked you to be invincible. He asked you to be willing. And here is the truth that brings relief. You were never meant to fight this war head-on. You were meant to outgrow it. Darkness loses power when you stop engaging on its level. Confusion dissolves when clarity is honored. Resistance weakens when alignment is chosen. That is why reaction mattered so much in the last section. Once you begin reacting in alignment, the war shifts. It does not necessarily disappear overnight, but it loses access. It loses leverage. It no longer controls your emotions, your thoughts, or your direction. Peace becomes armor. And notice how even now, as this is being spoken, your body feels calmer. That is not imagination. Truth calms the nervous system. Truth restores order internally. Chosen one, you survived the war you could not name because you were never meant to fight it blindly. You were meant to mature through it. And you did. You are not traumatized. You are trained. You are not broken. You are refined. And now that the fog is lifting, you are stepping into a season where the battle is no longer about survival, but about stewardship. Stewardship of your peace, your discernment, your calling. In the next part, I will speak about what life looks like after the code is revealed. Not chaos, not constant warfare, but grounded, purposeful living. Stay with me. What comes next brings relief. Living after the code is revealed. Now take a breath, because this is where many chosen ones finally begin to relax. This is not the part where life becomes perfect. This is the part where life becomes clear, and clarity changes everything. Living after the code is revealed does not mean constant excitement or non-stop victory. It means stability. It means grounded peace. It means walking without fighting yourself anymore. The first thing that changes is how you move through life. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive. You do not rush to fix everything. You do not carry what does not belong to you. You move with intention, not impulse. That alone removes a great deal of exhaustion from your system. You begin to understand that not everything requires your energy. After the code is revealed, you stop chasing understanding from people who cannot give it. You no longer need to explain your growth. You allow others to see the results instead of hearing the reasoning. Silence becomes natural, not forced. You speak when it adds value. You listen more than you talk. That is not withdrawal. That is wisdom matured. Your relationship with God also deepens here. It becomes less emotional and more anchored. You trust Him without needing constant reassurance. You are comfortable in quiet seasons. You no longer panic when answers take time. Faith becomes less about feeling and more about knowing. This is the faith of stability, not survival. You also notice that your standards change, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. You are selective with your time, your energy, and your attention. You protect your peace without guilt. You understand now that boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They allow what is aligned to enter and keep what is harmful out. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. After the code is revealed, discipline replaces motivation. You do what needs to be done even when emotions fluctuate. You no longer wait to feel inspired to act responsibly. You understand that consistency creates freedom. That truth alone reshapes your daily life. You also stop measuring your progress against others. Comparison loses its grip. You respect different paths without questioning your own. You understand that your timing is intentional. That releases unnecessary pressure. Peace becomes your compass. Your emotional life becomes more regulated. You still feel deeply, but emotions no longer control your decisions. You allow feelings to pass without letting them dictate your actions. This emotional maturity was earned through pain, but it now serves you. You no longer fear your emotions. You manage them. Another important shift is how you handle conflict. You no longer argue to be understood. You no longer chase closure from people who are not self-aware. You state your truth calmly and let others respond as they will. You understand that not every disagreement needs resolution. Some simply need distance. Clarity reduces drama. After the code is revealed, you also become more patient with yourself. You no longer shame yourself for past mistakes. You see them as part of your formation. Regret softens into wisdom. Guilt transforms into responsibility. You forgive yourself without minimizing lessons learned. This self-compassion strengthens your faith. You also begin to live with purpose without obsession. You know you are called, but you are not anxious about the future. You trust that preparation matters more than speed. You allow growth to unfold naturally. You understand that rushing can distort calling. God values depth over haste. Another shift is how you rest. You rest without guilt. You understand that rest is not laziness, it is restoration. You no longer equate exhaustion with faithfulness. You listen to your body. You honor your limits. This rest allows you to serve sustainably, not sacrificially to the point of burnout. Rest becomes part of obedience. You also notice that you attract different people now. Not louder, not flashier, but calmer, more grounded, more aligned. Some old connections fade naturally. New ones form slowly. This is not loss. It is refinement. Your environment begins to match your internal order. Living after the code is revealed also means accepting responsibility for your influence. You understand that your presence carries weight. People feel calmer around you. They open up. They listen. This is not because you have all the answers, but because you are not operating from chaos anymore. Peace is contagious. And here is something important. You stop seeking constant confirmation. You do not need signs for every decision. You trust the discernment God has built in you. You pray, you listen, and you move. This confidence does not come from ego. It comes from alignment practiced over time. You have earned your trust in God and yourself. You also become less attached to outcomes. You do your part faithfully and release the results. This detachment does not come from indifference. It comes from surrender. You understand that control was never yours to begin with. Freedom grows where control ends. Chosen one, living after the code is revealed, is quieter than you imagined, but it is also stronger. It is less dramatic, but more powerful. You are no longer fighting to become who you are. You are simply living from that truth. And as this way of living settles in, you will realize something beautiful. You were never late. You were never lost. You were being prepared. In the final part, I will bring this message to a close and seal what has been revealed so you can walk forward with peace, confidence, and assurance. Stay with me. You've come too far to stop now. Another quiet change you may notice is how you speak to yourself. The inner dialogue softens. Harsh self-criticism no longer dominates your thoughts. You correct yourself without condemnation. You acknowledge mistakes without attaching shame. This internal shift is significant because the voice you live with the most is your own. And now, that voice sounds more like wisdom than accusation. You also begin to value simplicity. You crave less complexity, less noise, less excess. Your life starts organizing itself around what truly matters. You choose depth over quantity in relationships. You choose meaning over appearance in your work. You choose peace over proving a point. This simplification is not loss. It is alignment. Another sign of living after the code is revealed is your comfort with not being understood by everyone. You no longer require universal agreement to feel secure. You allow others to interpret you through their own lens without correcting them. Your identity is no longer fragile. And finally, you begin to sense gratitude in ordinary moments. Not forced positivity, but quiet appreciation. A calm morning, a meaningful conversation, a moment of stillness. These moments ground you. They remind you that God is present, not just in breakthroughs, but in balance. This is the life that emerges when striving ends and alignment begins, and you are stepping into it naturally, without forcing, without fear, and without apology. Conclusion. The final confirmation. Now let me bring this to a close in a way that settles your spirit, not stirs it. Because if you are still here, listening to the very end, that alone confirms something important. Not everyone made it this far. Many clicked away. Many felt uncomfortable. Many were distracted. But you stayed. And that tells me you are aligned enough to receive what was meant for you. Chosen one, nothing you heard today was random. This message did not find you by accident. It arrived because you were ready to understand it without fear, without ego and without confusion. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are exactly where God needs you to be in this season. The secret code was never meant to elevate you above others. It was meant to stabilize you within yourself. And now that it has been revealed, your responsibility is simple. Walk in peace. Walk in discernment. Walk without forcing doors or fighting battles that no longer belong to you. You don't need to prove who you are. Your alignment will speak for you. You don't need to rush the future. God is already there, and you don't need to fear what comes next, because clarity always attracts provision. Let your mind rest tonight. Let your heart settle. Trust what God has been showing you quietly. The noise is fading for a reason. Before you go, chosen ones, if this message resonated with your spirit, give a like to this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tap the bell icon so you don't miss what's coming next. Share this message with other chosen ones who need confirmation, and comment 777 as a seal that you are aligned with the divine path God has placed before you. Walk gently, walk wisely, and remember, you were chosen not to strive, but to stand.